Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. So tonight I'm going to continue on the 9.3 Pontiac build. We're going to go ahead and try to get the pinion set up on this thing tonight. Well, we're not going to try, we're going to do it. But I may have to make a holder for it because I got to torque this thing to like 225 pounds. But the tools the kits we're using to redo this old rear end is made by Fabcraft Gears. And so far, this little kit's been great. So I got a little bit of surface rust. I got to clean off a few things from it sitting around. But other than that, we're ready to go. The yoke's all cleaned up. Third member's cleaned up. All the small parts are ready to go. These are bearings from another little project that was going on. And back when I was taking this thing apart, I made a point to keep everything. So the first thing I got to do is measure how thick this old crush sleeve is, because that's going to tell us how we want to shim this solid spacer, because we're going to solid spacer route instead of crush sleeve, because I know this thing's going to see some spirited use, may find its way onto the track. So we want to give it every opportunity to live a nice, long, useful lifespan. Pre-fitting bearing, my mock-up bearing, if you will. And yes, I know I didn't put the spacers on there. You see it drops right on, but you can't hardly wiggle it. If you got really good feel, you can kind of feel it. This bearing, which is the actual going on there and run with it pinion, back pinion bearing, will not go on there right now. We're going to get ready to mock this thing up. It had two 7/1000 shim bearings in it. I have no reason to believe this thing wasn't set up right to start with. So I'm going to hang them back on there. And I got to go through here and build 14/1000. So I should be able to take a 10 and a 4. Once again with the trusty calipers. So this should be 10 right here. All right. Make sure my caliper is good and zeroed. There we go. So we check this one. 10/1000. So this should be 4/1000. Okay, there's our 14. So we go ahead and put these on here. There is a ridge machined into this sleeve. There's a ridge right here on your pinion. And right here. They interlock. So this chamfer goes on towards that rib. There. You measure your original crush sleeve, which in our case is 0.759. And I like to measure it a few places around 0.759. So what we want is a couple of thousandths thicker than that. So if we measure this, we're 0.746. $61. So if I had a 15,000 shim, which this should be a 15,000 shim, and it is, that puts us at 61 thousandths. Now, we need to put some lube on here. We need to lube up the front pinion bearing, which does not get pressed on. And we need to put the yoke on it. Now I'm going to have to knock this yoke off every time. I can see that already. Now if we got this right, we should be able to torque this thing up and get our inch pound reading once we put it in the housing. Now, I got to make a couple of things happen right quick before I can do that. I got to take a wire brush and clean this up some more, because it's not wanting to just slide on. Okay, so I've taken it back apart. I didn't want to bore you all with the disassembly once again. So I'm going to go ahead and take all my shims and spacers off. Set them over here on a nice clean paper towel. This is my mock-up bearing. Shims are still in here. It did not come off with the bearing, so that's good. And I'm going to press this on before I load it up. But this will be our back bearing. And what I got to do now is find me a spacer that'll go over this and push here without pushing on the bearing cage. And I know I got them, but it's going to take me a minute to find them, because I just shuffled everything in this shop. Okay, so we're back. I now have my good bearing and my shim pressed on. I'll probably do a better differential assembly video in the future. I got a couple of 9s I got to build. I've had to start and stop on this one so much, it's kind of lost some of its continuity. But I'm trying to fix that. What we got to do now is go ahead and get this lubricant plated up. We'll make the final adjustments, installations to the housing, the third member, and then we'll go ahead and put this in and torque it up for the final time with its shims and all in place. And then it'll be ready to go. Okay, so here we go. Go ahead and get this on the torque wrench. Set it over here for just a second. This thing will not stay in if you let go of it, because its own weight pulls it back out of the hole. But that's okay. We'll get it in, braced up against it here. Shorter extension might help, but all right, here we go. Get the right angle on it here. And there's 225 pounds. I got 25 inch pounds that way, and I got 25 inch pounds that way. Let's take her a full turn. And we're still hanging out at 25 inch pounds. We are where we need to be. So now I can take it back apart, tap the yoke off one last time. I got to put the freeze plug in, the core plug, whatever you want to call it, get the seal in it, put a little bit of grease in there. We'll go ahead and put her back together one more time, torque her up. We're ready to flip it over and put in the ring and pin. So the last two things we got to do before we put this pinion in for the final time and lock everything down. I need to pull that nut out so I don't forget it. And my washer's already cleaned up and ready to go. We got to put a little bit of aviation sealer. Some people use Mega Black. I've always liked the aviation sealer because it doesn't harden. It just gets firm. And I'll reach in here and give it a little coat. If you've watched the FE build videos, this is the same stuff I sealed the timing cover up with on the FE motor. Now, go ahead and set the plug in. Get it started. And then I'm going to use one of these old bearing rollers. To go ahead and punch it on down in there. Before that aviation sealer hardens, I'll wipe it off. And it's got a nice little trail ring around the top there held it in. I'll put the seal in. This one's wobbling right on into the hole. And I'll take my driver here and we'll get it down even with the top. There we go. Next I'll give this a coat and goes all the way around. Now all I got to do is pick it up, set it. We'll put a wipe of Lubriplate around the yoke, and we'll go ahead and put it together. And as you see, it's got a nice little chamfer on it. That's to help it go inside the seal without tearing it. I got to pull the camera back a little bit because I'm a little too close to what I'm doing here. Okay, I got one last thing to do. I gotta grease up the bearing. I'm just going to work it around this bearing. We'll roll it a little bit and make sure there's some down in here. Push it on in there. And we'll stick that right back over there for just a second. We'll get us a couple of clean towels. Grab this again and wipe off some of this that's on the ring, because that's going to make our layout die not want to stick. Now we're going for final assembly this time. New nut, and we don't want to have to take it loose. Good. So we'll go ahead and do a test fitting, and it fits. I want to get just a little bit of Lubriplate. I don't want to go all the way around my ring here on my yoke. Get it good and coat it. Hold pressure down, and I'll take my rubber mallet. And I'm just ever so lightly tapping it. And if you look through, you can see your seal and see if it lipped over like it should. And it did. I don't think I can get the camera in there for that one. There we go. So we're on good, we're started, we're square. So I'll wipe this off. I put that in there. And I got to go get my Loctite. So here we are installed. This is 33 pounds actually in both directions. Installed with the seal, ready to go. So this side of the setup is complete. Just a little tip here. Always set your torque wrench back to 0 when you're done with it. They'll stay calibrated longer that way. I mean, you still need to have them checked occasionally. You can go all the way down until it says stop if you got the one with the tape like I have. You probably can't see it in there. So now we put the inch-pound wrench back in its box. As always, practice your skills, learn a new one. Either way, turn them into craftsmanship. You never know how far they'll take you. So until next time, this has been Fab Race Mod Repeat. Have a great day.